If you've got 5 minutes but not all day, here's a really crap guide to anime. Hey everyone, we're back in it today and we're going to be talking about the Summit War Saga. The crew meets an old enemy named Hachi, and he seems to need help because his friend Kami, who is a mermaid, is getting kidnapped by pirates along with their starfish companion whose name is Papug. Anyways, they failed to accomplish rescuing this mermaid, and Hachi tells him that she's being taken to Sabadi Archipelago to be sold in an auction, so the crew heads to the Sabadi Archipelago, and on their way to the auction house we meet the Supernovas. These are direct rivals to Luffy, becoming the king of the pirates and finding the One Piece. Besides Three Sword Monty over here, we have Original Bakugo, the One-Man Band, Strong Angel, Pedo Bait, Doc, Al Capone, Cherry Pie, the Human Blender, I Like Your Creepy Words, Magic Man, and Look Ma, I'm a Dinosaur. The crew has to get to the auction house where Kami is about to be sold to a world noble that is literally the worst person in the entire world. And after they try to save Kami, this world noble shoots Hachi and then laughs at him for being weak and dying on the floor. And Luffy says, I'm about to punch you straight back into the manga. These world nobles are pretty much known as the untouchables of the One Piece world. If you even disagree with them, you can pretty much expect to be executed. So Luffy punching a world noble sets off the entire world government onto the Straw Hats, and they start unleashing copies of this dude that almost killed the strongest member of the crew. These copies are called pacifistas, but they're not pacifists at all. They shoot laser beams at you and try to blow you up at any chance they get. While this is happening, we run into Mr. Golden Sun, and dude looks like a lady. And it turns out that Mr. Golden Sun is a Navy Admiral and is about to come lay the smackdown on the Straw Hat Pirates. This dude almost straight up executes Zoro in front of all of his friends when the right-hand man to the Pirate King shows up and stops him. Well, while all of this is going on, the real Bartholomew Kuma shows up, and in what seems to be an epic display of power, he just straight up deletes the entire Straw Hat crew in front of Luffy's eyes from existence. And that's how the show ends. One Piece is over, it's all done, folks. Just kidding. Turns out that Bartholomew Kuma simply put them into paw-shaped bubbles and sent them flying off in different directions, splitting up all of the Straw Hat Pirates. The story now shifts to specifically Luffy as he lands on an island called Amazon Lily, which is inhabited only by women. It is ruled by the Warlord of the Sea, Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, who is known to be the most beautiful woman in the entire One Piece world, although it is debatable. Leave your picks in the comments. And while you're leaving your picks in the comments, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell and select all to get all notifications, because if you don't, Bartholomew Kuma will smack you in the booty and send you all the way to Djibouti. Pretty much Amazon Lily doesn't allow any men there. Boa Hancock is taking a bath and Luffy somehow shows up in her bath and sees the mark on her back, which all of the sisters have because they all used to be slaves to a pirate crew. And they are all really ashamed. They are collectively known as the Gorgon Sisters. Boa Hancock is absolutely livid that anyone, especially a man, saw the mark on her back and tries to use her devil fruit, the Mero Mero no Mi, also known as the Love Love fruit, to turn Luffy to stone. This devil fruit turns anyone who has adoration for or impure thoughts about the user to stone. This devil fruit does not work on Luffy because he is pretty much the only person in the entire world who does not give a crap about how beautiful Boa Hancock is. And so Boa Hancock is pretty steamed, so she immediately tries to execute him by having her sisters who have snake devil fruits try to eat him. After showing he was worthy by protecting one of the Snake's sisters from showing a mark on her body that she didn't want everyone to see, Boa Hancock decides to spare Luffy. After seeing that he's different from other men, immediately falls in love with him. Boa Hancock tells Luffy that his brother Ace was captured by Blackbeard and the Marines have put him in Impel Down, and he is scheduled to be executed in a couple of days, and so Luffy decides to go and save him. At this point in the story, I'm going to be a little more detailed, especially since I watched pretty much up to this point in the anime, One Piece, and after this point, I read the manga, which is much, much more detailed. After Boa Hancock hides him out on a marine ship for a couple days, Luffy arrives at Impel Down. Alright, boys. So here's how the heist is gonna go. First, you're gonna get into the no food level. This is the level where no one gets to eat. Gonna meet up with Chops McGee and the wax guy from the Baroque Works job. They're gonna lead you down to the next level, but not before you get chased by a bunch of animals that really don't want you to be there. Anyways, when you get to the third level, this is important. It's gonna be really, really hot there, so you're gonna want to get out quickly. Now what I'm gonna tell you is there's gonna be a hole that leads down to the next level. Be careful of that hole, because that hole leads to a bunch of bloody spikes. Now the next level is a very, very cool one. Now Manny Faces take Gumby down to Tim Curry from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I want you to go and save our main guy because Lord knows Poison Boss is going to come along and he's just going to wipe the floor with him. So you come along, you save him, bring him down to platform 9 3/4. Fix him up, then we got it good. So then we head down to the big house, level number 6. We go down there. Fishman Daddy-O, you're going to be the one who tells Luffy that Ace has already been taken out of the prison and is already scheduled to be executed at Marineford. Alright, we're going to pick up a couple guys, including Mr. Zero. That's not even a funny name, he's actually called Mr. Zero. You're going to meet a guy who used to be an officer in here. He's a really bad dude, used to kill everyone, even his own subordinates. Do not let him out under any circumstances. He's crazy. Then we're going to make a mad dash for the door. Now the Poison Boss should be up and running again by now. He has a pretty nasty schedule that he has to stick to, and that's why we have to do all this at specific times. Okay, just for context here, Magellan is the warden of Impel Down, and he has the poison fruit as his devil fruit. His body can turn into poison, and it is so poisonous that it even affects him, and due to this effect, he has poisoning like 23 hours of the day. 23 hours of the day, he is on a toilet having diarrhea because his body is continuously filled with poison. And so only 1 hour per day can he come out and do his warden duties. Moving on. Right. Also, Jackie Estacado from the Darkness is going to show up and try to stop you. Bad news, he just let out Crazy Dude from downstairs. Good luck! Anyways, hopefully you can get through that. So once you get to the door, everybody's going to need a ship to hop onto. Then, Mr. Tuban Clay, you're going to have to stay behind and pretty much die so that everyone else is able to get through the big door at the end of it all. And then, we're Gucci. Sounds like a pretty simple plan, am I right?
Tomo no hana. Yosete wa kaesu nami ato ni. Wasuregatari no hanabira no fushi. Itsuka futatabi sakasete miseyou. Okamaue!
So we shift focus over to Marineford, where Ace is about to be executed, when all of a sudden Luffy and all the criminals that escaped from Impel Down, including Jinbei, land smack dab in the middle of the bay right in front of Marineford. Also at this point, a gigantic ship emerges from under the ocean that looks like a gigantic whale. This is the Moby Dick, captained by the current most famous pirate in the entire world, Whitebeard, who is my favorite One Piece character of all time. Using his Tremor fruit powers, Whitebeard proceeds to crack the air itself and send a shockwave so powerful that in the manga it shifts the tectonic plates surrounding Marineford, which causes two gigantic tidal waves to come in, about to crush everything. The three Marine Admirals sit on a platform and Aokiji steps up. If you remember, Aokiji is the coolest black man you will ever meet. And so he uses his ice powers to freeze both of the tidal waves. Then the battle begins. A lot of really minor things happen. A lot of really important things happen. But anyways, the main point is that Luffy is continuously trying to reach Ace in order to save him from being executed. And there are attempts to stop him multiple times, once by all three of the admirals, and once by Hawkeye's Mihawk, and once by his own grandfather, Monkey D. Garp. Boa Hancock, while trying to be subtle, hands him the keys to Ace's handcuffs, and as he's facing off with his grandpa, the Marines order for Ace's immediate execution, and Luffy yells out in an extremely loud voice, "Stop!" and for the first time unleashes his Conqueror's Haki. Just for context, Conqueror's Haki is a force within people who are destined to be a ruler, and they can use it to pretty much exert their will on a large amount of people, and if the strength of their will is stronger than the will of anyone else in the general vicinity, those with weaker wills will be knocked unconscious. This knocks the two executioners unconscious, which Luffy thinks is luck, but everyone else knows is Conqueror's Haki. After this, Sengoku transforms into a giant golden Buddha using his devil fruit and tries to kill Ace, but Luffy stops his fist, but the force breaks the execution platform. Luffy then releases Ace from his bonds, and they start fighting back against the Marines. If you remember, Ace has the Mera Mera no Mi, or the Flame fruit. At about this point, Admiral Akainu, who has the Magma fruit, pretty much can turn his whole body into magma, create magma, and shoot magma. He starts raining down giant magma fists on the entire battlefield, and immediately goes to try to kill Ace, but Whitebeard steps in the way, and they begin to fight. Whitebeard fights viciously, but at one point Akainu manages to punch him with a magma-covered fist so hard that it blows half of Whitebeard's face off. This is shown in the manga, but it was censored in the anime to just have half of Whitebeard's mustache being burnt off. Whitebeard gets so angry at this that he punches Akainu down into the ground, which Akainu counters by turning to magma. Akainu punches him in the chest with a magma fist. Completely unfazed, Whitebeard then grabs Akainu and throws him up in the air and slams his tremor fist into him, which breaks a strip of land all the way up Marineford and cracks it in half, and opens up a chasm that Akainu falls into. Akainu then uses his magma powers to burrow into the underground and come back up to the surface. While this is happening, Whitebeard begins fighting against Blackbeard, who has now shown up with his entire crew. And Whitebeard manages to get the upper hand after being shot through the chest point blank by Blackbeard. And then Blackbeard calls for his entire crew to come up, and they completely decimate Whitebeard by shooting him with an obscene amount of times, and for the finishing blow they stab him with about 7 swords directly to the chest. It is at this point that Whitebeard knows he is about to die, and so he gives a final command to his crew, which he also sees as his sons. And the final command is to support Straw Hat and to create the next era of piracy. At the very end of his life, he speaks directly to the Marines, and he says, "I know what you're afraid of. There is a war coming like no one has ever seen. Greater than this war." And he starts off the next pirate era by shouting, "The One Piece and rebolstering the confidence of all of the pirates. After this, he dies standing up. Everyone is shocked that he was that strong that he could die standing up. He suffered 46 cannonballs, 267 stab wounds, and 152 bullets, not including 2 magma fists to the chest and getting half his face blown off. It is at this point that Akainu reaches the surface again, and this time is going after Luffy. Garp, seeing his grandson about to be killed, springs into action but is stopped by Sengoku. In order to protect his brother from being killed, Ace stands in front of Akanu's punch and is killed by Akanu when Akanu punches a hole through his chest. Ace's final words are, "Thank you for loving me." Luffy, seeing his brother killed directly in front of him, is put in such a state of shock that he is knocked unconscious. Jinbei grabs Luffy and tries to get him away while Akanu tries to follow them. They manage to escape by getting into Trafalgar Law's submarine. At this point, Blackbeard puts a large black sheet over Whitebeard and walks underneath it and has his crew guarded, and after emerging, reveals that using his devil fruit, he has stolen Whitebeard's devil fruit, and showcases that he now wields the power of both the dark fruit and the tremor fruit. At this point, Akanu comes back to the battlefield, and in the manga, I believe it is just a random Marine boy, but in the anime, it is Kobe, the boy who became a Marine that Luffy saved back in episode 1, that stands up to Akanu and says, "Everybody stop, because too many people have died in this war." And just as Akanu is about to punch roast him into the ground, another Emperor of the Sea, red-haired Shanks, shows up and says, "Yo! This war is over, unless you want to throw hands with me, and believe me, you do not want to throw hands with me. I got that Conqueror's Haki." After this, Luffy is healed from his injuries and is brought to a remote island to sleep off the battle. When he wakes up, he is so angry that he couldn't save Ace that he immediately starts hurting himself by slamming his head into trees and kind of rampaging around the forest. Jinbei meets with him and gets him to calm down. Feeling like he has lost everything in his life, Luffy is very depressed, and he decides to go visit the graves of Whitebeard and Ace that have been put up at Marineford. And so he goes there, and he knows he's going to get his picture taken and put in the newspaper. And so on his arm, he writes the symbols 3D to Y. But he puts a slash through the 3D. This is a secret symbol to the rest of his crew that they will meet back at the Sabati Archipelago, not in 3 days, but in 2 years, after he and the rest of them have trained to get stronger. At this point, he goes back to the island, and Silver's Rayleigh starts him on a training campaign that is pretty much fighting against the strongest and meanest beast that the world could offer him. And Luffy continues to do this for 2 years. This is the 2-year time skip of One Piece. That is all for the Summit War saga of One Piece. We will be back in a couple of weeks to bring you the Fishman Island saga and everything after the 2-year time skip. I'm so excited that we're this far already, and it's pretty smooth sailing, no pun intended, from here on out. We are currently 597 chapters in. This has been a crap guide to One Piece the Summit War saga, and now you know something. Hey everyone out there, AfroX here. Hope you liked the video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you want to see. A shout out to our famous patron, our epic patron Calvin C, and our legendary patron Tricks the Anime Hater.